Welcome into another edition of Ask the AD. I'm Steve Baker, the Director of Broadcasting for the Red Hawks and voice of the Red Hawks, joined by the Director of Athletics, David Sayler, and he's ready to answer your questions submitted to us through social media. Before we get to those questions, though, David, I want to talk about the positive things that are really going on right now within the athletic department. We have so many sports that are competing for championships in the fall, and the winter sports are getting off to a great start.
Yeah, I mean, volleyball is on the verge of having a historic season. They've already set one school record, and they're on the verge of setting another in terms of consecutive wins. And I'm just so proud of the effort they've put forward. And field hockey's in second place. Soccer's fighting for third right now, and home field in the first round of the tournament. Hockey's hasn't lost in 4 games, and football's on a bit of a streak now too. So it really is exciting around the department in terms of the energy and the coaches back and forth right now.
And a great opportunity, by the way, this weekend to come out and see that volleyball team Thursday night and on Saturday afternoon. That Saturday afternoon game has been moved to 5 o'clock, and that's a big one with Northern Illinois coming into town. 2, at this point, undefeated teams in MAC play, and that'll be a huge game for you.
Yeah, and they're hosting the MAC tournament this year because they won the regular season last year. If we were to beat them on Saturday and finish out the year, we would certainly be able to host the MAC Volleyball Championship next year if you win the regular season. So that's exciting and a lot to play for the team.
It is indeed. So make sure you get out to Millette and check out volleyball this weekend. All of our questions today submitted through Twitter, and we had to cull through all of them and came up with 4 of the best questions today. And our first question comes from @CoachReal33, and he writes, what do you foresee happening next in regards to conference realignment?
Yeah, well, it's a good question, Joe. And you know, the one thing we talked about on one of our shows before was that we kind of envisioned a situation where no expansion happened with the Big 12.
Right.
And I think that's what came to pass at the end of the day. There's some money that's going to be allocated to the Big 12 to not expand in some essence. And so I think that's going to calm it down for a while. I really do. I think that, you know, for the next 8-9 years, there's kind of a window where TV contracts are pretty well set. There's not going to be a big need to switch things around. College football playoff could certainly be a driver to some realignment if it doesn't expand to 8 teams in the next 5-6 years. You might have teams that are deciding they're better off in one place or another to make the playoffs. So that could be a factor in the whole equation. And then the next time TV contracts roll around is when you could see maybe the Big 12 getting a little bit split up, or the ACC getting split up or something. And you see the Big 10, SEC, Pac-12 being pretty solid. The rest would be what happens to the teams in those other 2 leagues. So I think the realignment kind of shuffle is going to be stable for a little while and until the next go around here, whether it's driven by college football playoff or driven by television contracts.
By the television dollars. They drive a lot, absolutely. Our next question is from Bruce, and Bruce asks, in order of importance, what is the number 1 priority as far as facilities improvement and or new construction for Miami?
Yeah, and you know, the beauty of this question is that we're finishing off our athletic campaign,
right?
$80 million campaign. We've raised 60. To finish that campaign off, we've talked about finishing fundraising for the Gunlock building, which still has a little ways to go in terms of raising money to finish that building's commitment of what we said we would raise,
right,
which is all of it. We want to do a soccer renovation, get the soccer field out of the floodplain, move it closer to Jaeger, and have a better competition venue for them, including lights and a more permanent seating structure with press box and things. The rest is scholarships. We need money for scholarships to finish off the $80 million, plus those 2 other things. And then the next campaign the president is working on would include a new or renovated Millette Hall.
Very good.
And so that would be the next building kind of up in the queue besides finishing Gunlock and the soccer facility. So that's really where I see the next 5 to 6 years with facilities for Miami athletics, and getting the basketball piece done with volleyball would, in my mind, is really complete what we've set out to do since I got here, which is to make all of our student athletes have a much more positive experience where they play and practice and compete.
Very good. Next question comes from Alex Dumproff, and it says, what does it say about the prioritization of men's basketball that a non-exhibition tournament play-in home opener is at 1 o'clock on a weekday? Talking about the opener on Friday the 11th against Muskegon.
Right, and Alex, you know, we had a couple people ask similar questions to Alex's. I just chose Alex's, but I think really what it says to me is men's basketball is a priority to us because they wanted to have this tournament, and we were all supportive of doing this tournament. It's a difficult block of 3 days in Millette that we have to work out, but it also allows this game to count beforehand.
Right.
And basketball really wanted to get that game in on Friday or Saturday, not on a Sunday because that would be 5 games in 7 days.
Right.
So we had to work Friday or Saturday. You already had volleyball scheduled. The Saturday game is senior night for volleyball. And the toughest part about converting Millette is making it from a basketball facility to a volleyball facility. Volleyball needs 2 hours of court time cleared before a game for practice and hit around. You have to give the visiting team hit around time in the morning. So there's lots of logistical issues around trying to figure out when a basketball game could happen with also allowing volleyball to happen, volleyball was scheduled before basketball because of the conference schedule being set long in advance, and having to change that is very difficult when teams have already made travel arrangements. The other piece is hockey. You got hockey going on. We certainly don't want to run up against that as little as we can. You want to run up against hockey because that has its own situation, and television was looking at our hockey games, so we couldn't move them. So there was all those factors together. What I would say is basketball really wanted to play this game Friday or Saturday, and we made that happen. So it's what basketball wanted and a priority. We were able to find a way to make it work. What we're going to do is make it Community Day and Heroes Day. So we're going to have a lot of special things where we offer free tickets to people in the community and also to senior citizen centers around town and around the area. And we're going to have all types of promotions to make that game attractive to more people who can make it out to the game, because we do understand the challenges for some people. And season ticket holders, we're talking about doing a 50% discount on tickets later in the year for a different game that, in place of missing this game if they can't make it. And so that's an offer we're going to make to all of our season ticket holders as well, and try to balance out, making the game as a good of an atmosphere as we can with faculty staff involvement, community involvement, veterans involvement, senior citizens involvement, but also then giving our season ticket holders a chance to come to another game at a discounted price.
Very good. And season ticket holders can look for a future mail-in or email about that offer in the very near future. Our final question comes from Chuck. He says, "Hi, David. Does the NCAA have football attendance rules still in place? And if so, how does Miami maintain in those?"
And Chuck's an accountant, so only an accountant would ask this question. It's got about numbers and process, right? So the rule still exists. There's been a lot of debate in the last 4 years about getting rid of the rule, because if we're investing, in our case, $39 million in an end zone building and an indoor facility. We're committed to Division I football here in Miami. So whether we have 15,000 or 18,000 or 20,000, we're committed to it. I think the concern always was that schools were going to move up to D1 to try to collect check from being in D1, but they're not really committed to being a viable Division I football program. We clearly are, and I think most MAC schools are trying to do that. So I think there has been a lot of dialogue at the national level about, do we even need this rule anymore? And I think in the next couple of years you might see that go away. But for now, Chuck, it still exists. We do follow it. What happens for us is we're able to find ways to purchase tickets. We use purchase tickets sold as how we drive our number. And that's how we come up with a number that sometimes doesn't look like it's certainly what's in the crowd, based on weather and different factors. But that's how most schools are treating handling, because you can either do it with tickets sold or
purchased,
people in seats. And we go tickets sold, and that's what most schools do to have a better chance of ensuring they reach the number that's required.
As always, appreciate the time, David.
Thanks,
I know our fans do as well. That is this edition of Ask the AD. Look for it future editions online, as we'll ask for your questions via Twitter or on Facebook. For David Sayler, I'm Steve Baker. Thanks for watching.